使のように少年よ神話になれ
Hello.
What's going on?
Nothing much. I just went through and unallied with pretty much everyone before I'm gonna go wipe them all out. I already stabbed the dwarves in the back.
Nice.
The only ones who wouldn't ally with me. Everyone else confederated. Like, I doubled my territory in a few turns.
Nice. What are you playing as?
The dwarves?
Oh, okay.
There's the other dwarven faction who won't ally with you because they're your rivals for the throne.
Who are they?
Once this loading screen is done, I tell you.
Okay. I am currently working on 1,000 Suns story. Same circumstances as Teldon. 30k Marines stuck in 40. I really hate that I've come to love like the 30k concepts more than the 40k equivalents.
Why do you hate that? They're better.
What? I hate it because they are better and you won't be able to see it in Warhammer 40,000. On tabletop usually. I like the information shared. I kind of like the 1,000 Suns. I've always liked their aesthetic, even though sometimes it was goofy.
They're Egyptian.
Yes. Yes, they are. And I like that. It's better than Space Marines with katanas. Somebody talked to me about that.
Space katanas. That's just what we need. It's the
Who was it?
Clan Angrund.
Really?
Yeah, they don't want to confederate with me, so I'm just gonna kill them all. Why do I suddenly have no money?
That's right, because Carrick ate peaks.
Went over 1 million and then suddenly I have no money. What the crap just happened? Did it just reset because I had too much money?
Yep.
Hey,
Yep. Sorry, I was in the middle of a game and it's just like, beep! Which is why I was asking if you're in a chat.
Ah.
They did not like me. Every time I set up. I feel bad. I've been missing so many 40k games.
I bought Prospero Burns and Thousand Sons.
Wait, what?
I bought Prospero Burns and Thousand Sons.
Oh. So what are you guys up to? You guys tanking it up?
I'm playing Warhammer Total War as the dwarves. Oh no, just Emperor Karl Franz is randomly near one of my armies, so I'm attacking another dwarven settlement. Because he's there, I'm gonna wreck this place. I'm gonna save the Empire for last, because I downloaded a mod that says I can conquer everything. So I'm going to. But I'll save the Empire guys for last.
Oh my god, that is so horrible. Whatever design that is, just wow. Okay, so I was scrolling through Tumblr, and there's this picture of a guy drinking from a water fountain, which isn't bad in and of itself, except the fact that the mural on the wall behind it makes it look like Superman is holding the fountain, so the guy is bending over right in front of his groin area.
Good.
So it looks like you know what it looks like.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
I don't fight this battle, but I will. Oh, yeah, well, I took the dwarves' last settlement, so now they're attacking one of my other settlements to at least have a city, or else they'll run out of troops by attrition. But since they're attacking a settlement, I don't have a general in this army. But they have a general in theirs, and generals can kick the crap out of pretty much anybody. So I'll probably just pincushion in with a lot of crossbows. Bless you.
Yes!
Bless you.
Bless you!
That's you swear.
Bless you.
Gesundheit. Gesundheit, or whatever the Dutch one is. Gesundheit.
Hiccups.
Well, it's better that than the cough you had forever.
Yeah, that is true. That was not fun. Let's see. Do I want to continue quick play or do I want to try to get my boxes?
Oh, right, it's a new week.
Sounds so thrilled.
Yeah. I'm just tired. But it is far too early for me to go to bed.
Yes, definitely.
Total War has that whole one more turn, one more turn, one more turn thing. Fast knows.
Yeah.
Just one more turn. 30 turns later.
Yeah.
And Bob's shop.
I'll probably join you on the overbets once this battle's over.
Awesome. Maybe. So, Vass, if you join, what are you looking to make?
I'm
What's that?
I'm looking to make a assassin, but I want to see if I can talk with Sevitus and see if I can go into one of the temple trees.
Oh, joining that game. Okay.
You know, Eversor or Calexis.
I hate you.
Why?
Calexis would probably be a bad thing considering what the party makeup is.
I know, and I think that would be hilarious.
I hate you.
You'd end up inadvertently killing them.
Like, who cares?
Don't be a troll, man.
I'm not gonna. I was thinking Eversor, to be honest.
That's why it said there's no way I'm going to win this. They brought Dragon Company.
What's that?
Super dwarfs.
Yeah.
I have normal warriors, and they have a lot of elite troops. They've got gold shield warriors, Dragon Company. Well, this is only a normal town. This is just the city's garrison. Well, there's going to be a whole lot less of them soon. Because they're within crossbow range. That is what is happening, yes.
I will clink you to death.
Cling clang. You know it.
They have those guys, and then there's just a bunch of miners.
Fucking miners, man.
Armor-piercing pieces of crap. That's what they are. They're only good against gates. Except they have some miners with blasting charges, and that is a problem.
Kaboom!
Chaos Spawn looks so fun to put together.
Yeah, until you actually put them together.
I've heard that they're really great kits to work with, though.
No, I need them to live. How about to have 300 and...
Can you do math?
320 crossbowmen are all going to target their general. And it might slow him down.
Can you do math?
Yeah, it's 320 guys.
That is awesome.
It's my only hope of winning this is if the general goes down.
Yeah.
than the sheer ridiculous amount of dwarf research I've done into improving my guy's armor.
Waffle Iron. We started playing.
So much blood. Why did you give me this mod? Like, I'm on low graphics. It's not covering the ground and the bodies disappear. Like, looking at the units, they're just covered.
Why did you give me this mod? Because I liked having a giant spider just slick with blood.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
And then you're like, there's not even that many. Like, kill me.
Seeing a giant go from fully healthy to completely covered in blood because he got hit by a cannonball was amazing.
I want to see. Ooh. Tired.
Well, Vask and I do a combined campaign. Enemy Lord is dead! We should. With enough crossbow bolts, anything is possible. That took forever. Oh, that's ambitious.
What is?
Oh, each unit has a certain amount of morale before they break, and I broke their archers, but they came back. But there's only 4 of them. Just so you know, they started with 80.
Oh my.
I'm gonna win this. I've lost about half of my army, but we're gonna win this. Fight to the last man, mains. Hey, we won. Cool. Slaughter of anything but innocent. What is this achievement for? especially the ones about Scarsnake. The little goblin boss. But have you been reading what's going on in the shenanigans thread at all?
No.
Oh man. So Sarah had to leave the thing, and she always feels guilty about leaving like mid-RP. So Vask and I stepped in and called timeout on an entire battle.
We had to
Blew a giant whistle. And Mag Snagger walked up, like, I'm disappointed in this team. Should have done better. Just...
So the Chaos guys are having a meeting about how to fix their lines. The whistle is the size of a Baneblade, and this tiny little, like, spaghetti Xenos dragged it out onto the field and blew it and made everybody stop fighting. Oh my god, hold on. I gotta read this. I gotta read it. I gotta do
read
this.
all of the parts of Mag Snag and everything else too if you want.
Yes, I will.
God.
A strange Xenos runs into the middle of the beach, blowing a giant whistle the size of a Baneblade. The sound causes everyone to stop shooting and destroying and casting aside everything. The smite had done its job, unleashed by Saralyn, inflicting some amount of damage on the sorcerer. But the moment the referee came out onto the field, it was game over. Everyone had to stop. It was time to take a break. All right, folks, Surprise Chaos Crusade is called a timeout. So when they're done and ready. So let's get ready when they're done and ready. He then made a hand gesture and looked at everyone. Anyone who attacks anyone right now suffers a 100-meter penalty and a red card. You will be penalized for unsporting behavior and unnecessary roughness. Jeremy goes, what the fuck's going on? F time. Mag Snagger puts a whistle around his neck and brings out a clipboard. I'm disappointed in all of you and your performance. The clipboard shattered as Mag Snagger slammed it across his knee. Utterly disgusting!
Disgusting! That's exactly how I wrote it. Disgusting!
Did you think of that, lady?
I picked up on that.
Oh my god. I gotta draw him either in a coach's
You
uniform or a referee uniform.
You
Oh,
scrubs!
if you go in the shenanigans thread, there's a bunch of referees that I put in there.
And then
There a shit ton of sudden screaming.
And then it's, you scrubs need to get good. The sorcerer sits down with his team, and they begun to discuss prudent stratagems in order to get their men up on the front lines as best they can. This timeout was called by the warlord, who was standing on the sidelines wearing a pair of headphones and seemed to hold a clipboard, and he was yelling at his assistants. I have turned 40k into a goddamn sport. He then trudged down onto the field, and the sorcerer began to spark a conversation with them. Having set aside his Kopesh, the two begun to have a heated argument. The cultists gathered around the group. They begun discussing the nature of their missions. One of the corn berserkers began to whine about being not on the line, and thus the discussion begins anew. So, Say needed to go to sleep, and she's always been like, she's been really like specific about wanting to, she doesn't like leaving, like, you know, all of a sudden, because it's, I guess that's something that she does. But so I just had so Max just says, well, just have everyone, you know, do a timeout. So I made a Xenos spaghetti monster thing come out with a Beyblade sized whistle, wearing a referee jersey, and he blew the whistle, and it's halftime. So that's what's going on, Sev. Halftime. Yeah.
What the fuck did I just hear?
You just heard halftime for 40k. That's what you heard. We've turned it into a sport.
Honestly, it sounds like a TT tournament all over again.
Right.
It's not 30 inches. Shut the fuck up.
It's not 30 inches. Basically.
Literally holding the fucking ruler.
Oh my god! So basically, it's like, Say needed to go, so I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just turn this into a big silly sport. I was going to write about several of the dismembered cultists getting up and collecting their limbs and putting them back on. Like they're just...
It would if Abby's bio was on the field.
Right?
It's timeout. They can't do that.
They can't do that. Everybody, they have to leave their limbs on the ground. You will get them when the game is finished. Stop your bitching.
Yeah.
You're missing a leg, just walk it off. We'll get a wheelchair for you in about 10 minutes. Got no arms, we'll feed you lunch. But for now, it's break time.
So he was reading the story to Adam. So you can continue. Keep reading. It's good.
And then,
Disgusting.
Disgusting! Hold on! I need to get
Ever
this.
since I heard, I think it was... I forget who it was, but ever since I heard someone say, disgusting, I can't say it any other way.
Hold on.
Oh, Rebecca G then. And don't forget on the trouble we got into.
Why does somebody not know how to flush the toilet after they've had a shit?
What do you mean?
Well, it was fucking one of yes. Disgusting!
Love that video! Disgusting! and then I've actually laughed so hard I passed out. Jesus. Hold on.
Bombshells? I'm in ecstasy. I love it when my forces are ravaged by a Russian armored division.
Hey. Hey, Sav.
Atoms block by 4.8-ton bombshells? I'm in ecstasy. I love it when my forces are ravaged by a Russian armored division.
I love it when my forces are ravaged by a Russian armored division. So I'm gonna be... I picked up Prospero Burns and Thousand Suns. I've been meaning to pick up those books for a while. Do you know of any other Thousand Sun books for Horus Heresy? Okay. Are we talking good mindfuck or silly? Okay, that's good. I can appreciate that. Yeah, that's very true. So there is a video that I am in love with. There's a video I am in love with. And it has to do with the Hound from, what you call it? No. But it starts off with "fuck the king." It's my, like, favorite word by him. Here it is.
Fuck the king.
Fucking.
I want these people executed!
I want the same for you! If any of these flaming fucking arrows come near me, I'll strangle you with your own guts.
My favorite line that he says out of the whole series is, "If any of you die with no blood on your weapons, I'm going to..." Yes! I'll rape your fucking corpse. And, like, you don't realize how funny what he's saying is, because the moments he's always saying this crap is, like, serious, and you can... And then you just find these, like, mega cuts, and then you're just like, oh my god, he's fucking insane! Eat shit, dwarf.
Any man dies with a clean sword, I'll rape his fucking corpse! Fuck the water. Bring me wine. Eat shit, dwarf. Fuck the king's guard. Fuck the city. Fuck the king. Thoris. The fuck you doing here? What in seven hells are you doing with the Stark bitch? You look like a bunch of swineherds. What are you doing? Leading a mob of peasants. You want...
Alrighty. No, that
to
wasn't...
cut my throat? Get on with it! I understand that if any more words come pouring out your cunts... Fuck the king. I understand that if any more words come pouring out your cunt mouth, I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this room.
Oh, he is awesome.
now.
I love watching their artillery strike too. Just, at one moment there's a guy, and then there's just a red mist. And he's gone.
Fuck the king.
Someone bring me a drink.
Fuck the king. Fuck the king. Fuck the king.
We have some.
A lot of people call my videos offensive. Well, fuck you. People ask us why we have so many guns. I just tell them, how about over 200 years of freedom, bitch? Here at Black Rifle Coffee Company, we... Bitch. Here at Black Rifle Coffee Company, we have a coffee club, which means you spend less time ordering and more time doing what you love. No look! And I actually hit that. Instead of worrying about microaggressions and what bathroom I'm gonna use, I believe it's important to support the people that actually serve our country. Christmas!
Are you afraid of no fire?
Unlike your competitors who just rebag other people's coffee, we roast ours right here in-house. Evan!
Fresh roasted freedom.
I've heard people say patriotism is racism. Well, as a veteran-owned company, we give zero fucks about your opinion. A lot of people call my videos offensive. Well, fuck you. People ask us why we... A lot of people call my videos offensive. Well, fuck you. People ask us why we have so many guns. I just tell them, how about over 200 years of freedom, bitch? Here at Black Rifle Coffee Company, we have a coffee club, which means you spend less time ordering and more time doing what you love. No look! And I actually hit that. Instead of worrying about microaggressions and what bathroom I'm gonna use, I believe it's important to support the people that actually serve our country. Christmas!
Are you afraid of no fire?
Unlike your competitors who just rebag other people's coffee, we roast ours right here in-house. Evan!
Fresh roasted freedom.
I've heard people say patriotism is racism. Well, as a veteran-owned company, we give zero fucks about your opinion.
Hey babe, does this couch pull out?
Yeah, it pulls out.
But I don't.
You got that going for you. Since the pussification of the American man is ever prevalent these days, today we're gonna show you how to be a man.
The fuck does a dude in the skirt know about being a man?
Dude, it's a fucking tactical.
Damn, you're on that next level 5'11" shit. Yeah, we need to teach some of these fucking virgins how to be a man so their girlfriends stop PMing me on Facebook.
Yeah. So here's how to be a man.
Listen up.
You know, shaving's pretty cool if you like terrorism and Jesse Ventura. I do need a trim though. As a man, protein's a staple part of your diet. Fuck lettuce. I hate doing pull-ups because they give me these calluses. That's why I don't do them.
Where'd you go?
Man the fuck up.
There's nothing a man can't fix. Hey baby, flush the toilet.
Hey babe, can you clear this for me? Guns are scared. I think we should both date other men.
Shine bright like a diamond. God, this is exactly what I fucking needed.
This is what your bathroom should look like if you're a fucking woman.
Bro, what the fuck?
Rise and five! And tries? Time to get our man on! Hey Mel, how do 5 douchebags walk?
In one direction.
Whoa, bro, you alright?
A real man loves this woman every day of the month.
Oh, you've earned your red wings. Smells like iron.
Are you taking bikini shopping today?
Wait, I got this.
I like the pink, but it's not really my color.
Fine, fine. Next.
I'm thinking something more feisty.
Fine.
I got you.
Not feisty. Sorry, fuck!
No!
What the?
Stop!
Fuck this! Fuck! Wait, I've got it. America! said not to drink the local water.
Been to Iraq and Afghanistan. You think I care?
How's it going for you in there, bro?
Fuck you! As a man, it's important to perpetuate the fallacy that there's an actual thing called platonic friends. Fucking worst dominoes ever.
Matt went out with his guy friends again.
That asshole. You see, you got your best friend. You want some wine? Vodka? You just need a hug. We're so platonic.
Now you tell that girl I don't need to go where she's a trip abroad, and I damn sure don't need to be a magician to fucking trick up. Woo! Now, as a man, the only baby shower you should be attending is the one in your girlfriend's face. I'm talking semen. Now, usually as a man, you fucking name your guns. I call this one the Freedom Blaster. La Mitra, wrong move, motherfucker. Bigger than your mom's dildo, and of course, Tupac.
As a man, it's important to plant the seed, and then butt-fuck the plant.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know, but it gets the people.
You should make a video on how to be a woman.
It'd take like 10 seconds.
I'm not crazy. I'm hormonal, okay? Come here. And where the fuck is my mind?
Tim is such an asshole.
He knows, right?
So how the fuck does he end this shit? Something like fucking...
Thanks for watching the video.
Subscribe if you want some more America.
Baby, guess what day it is?
What day is it?
Laundry day. Hey, sweetheart.
So, Vask, I don't want to interrupt the writing process, but that OC that I was telling you about, instead of making him German, do you think I should make him from Kislev? Be offensively Russian.
Be offensively Russian, yes. Oh my god.
Just a mercenary who's been everywhere, fought with murder princes against orcs, undead and everywhere else. Creepy little bolts. They snap like powerful thighs.
Thank you, Batman. You saved my life. No problem, Aquaman. Oh, can I kiss your ass? Oh, I don't know, Aquaman. You think it's a good idea? Of course. Oh, stop it, Aquaman. It's still wrecking.
しさと夢の源へもう一度星に惹かれ生まれるために魂のルフラ静かに震えてる命のゆ 私に帰りなさい記憶をたどり優しさへの匂いを胸に残して散り添う鮮やかな姿で私に帰りなさい Looking back, a morning comes, don't find your face in your grass. Take the moonlight by the turds, rain is such a shading. What is there? It's just to say what it's dry in your crown. I'm spanning my grass, walking back, so when my grass you're fading. I'm waiting so long, I'm waiting so long, I'm waiting so long, I'm waiting. Rolling back the stones around and turn your face to your back. In the silence of the better dreams. looking on at me.
Attention to the map. Roger that. Attack the A point.
Yes, a hit.
Yes.
London. London.
gonna try to figure out. We're gonna figure out what I should read this to. Also, let me know if my voice is coming through okay, or if the music is too loud. I just tried to turn it down. How about now? Is it still loud? Alright. Seg, is this the smut? 'Cause that's the one I wanted to read. Alrighty. Alright. I will read this. But, what should I listen to while I read this? Decisions. Decisions. I know what we'll do. The once grand, beautifully, and masterly carved, sculpted, and crafted architecture of the Hive City was now brought down to nothing but high and low standing, few smoldering wreckages, created from all forms of art that made up the city. Pillars, administrative and work buildings, housing quarters and billboards, ground and air traffic routes. Whether it be up or down was either shot, exploded, or cut down, with the lack of any ceremony for those who had built it. Still standing were the collapsed or crumbling ruins of what was left. Statues were gone, and even a couple of fountains located around the landmarks were still trying to spit out what water remained in their pipelines. Rotting and burnt corpses of arbiters, guardsmen, and citizens alike were littered around the streets in messy piles of gore and dried up blood. However, those who had somehow managed to survive did what they could to continue on being the living population, scavenging around, building small temporary camps where it was deemed safer and on more stable ground, or even bunkering down in the more intact buildings that still stood from what had occurred. This had hardly been the first city to be taken and destroyed by the roaming war and power-hungry tide of orc clans that currently threatened the planet. Though it would also hardly be considered their last either. With how highly active the clans and their numerous war bosses seemed to be, the rate at which the green-skinned Xenos were traveling about, overwhelming and destroying anything that stood between them and their overall goal to loot and ransack the planet dry for supplies, the world might as well be a lost cause by now. With the help of two Adeptus Astartes chapters, there was only so much brute force they could use against their enemy, before inevitably failing. And too much had already been lost by the time their late arrival as well. They might as well just evacuate the people while there was still some to save. Ron, you're next. How's the voice that I'm using, that I'm reading in? Is it okay? Is it too quiet? Like what? Yes, Ron. You will be. I will read our thread. All right. Expertly navigating their way through the ruins of the city via a downloaded map on a datapad, taken while their ships were still close in orbit. Oh. In close orbit, the two squads of highly differing chapters looked around swiftly and carefully, speaking lightly with what civilians they managed to come in contact with, avoiding the more unstable areas of the ground which were pointed out to them, but also keeping a close eye for any enemy WOG banners that might be randomly placed about, as it was both a sign of boosting morale and a warning of marked territory where it came to the feral brutes that was their current enemy. Though, after about an hour or so of searching, they had finally reached what was believed to be the center point of the industrialized ruins, and fully regrouped, gathering in close to swap notes of what they had learned from the locals. They had already been briefed and cautioned to avoid any and all long-range communications, if possible, in case their foes were listening in somewhere, ready to strike. It would seem that a majority of their main units and a large mass of Gretchen are headed north towards the Manufactorum. But according to what I've also gathered from the Vagabonds, there's still a high level of orc activity in lower areas as well, though the Templar who spoke was in his own right still very young. He was beyond well-versed from his early days in training as a neophyte. However, with the way he was spotting and learning of the more subtle details of their enemies and terrains, he probably would have better made it into the ranks of the Raven God instead. The present High Marshal of their chapter was probably... Last month lace. The present High Marshal of the chapter was impressed, giving him an approving nod to continue as he crossed his arms. Most verified by the remaining citizens, looters seem to be more active down towards the lower sectors. Which is likely where the majority of the debris has fallen to, but that doesn't make them any less active here on the surface or higher up. So what are you exactly proposing we do then? One of the more rowdy sons of the snapped, baring sharp fangs a bit, as he was one of the few who were left without their helmet from their previous orc encounter. He seemed young as well, obviously craving for action, for more glories to whet his blade with. Just waiting to be had, if only given the chance to do so despite his injuries. Of course, if death from recklessness wasn't achieved at first. We'll split our numbers in order to cover more ground. It was the High Marshal himself who had spoken this time. Whether it be for his rank or simply because of his skill with the sword, the wolves silenced their snarls. as he spoke through his Vox-filtered helmet. A larger group of more able troops will head to the Manufactorum to hopefully take out what orcs are there, while the rest of us will take off into smaller pairs of two to search and clear out what other sectors, the city we can before we call it for the Thunderhawks to evacuate what we found. That's okay. I mean, the way that I write is I've been streaming how I write, so Whiskey can pretty much vouch that I just pop on music and I just start writing. And for some reason I have this automatic like flow switch that just gets snapped on and then I just vomit out crap. It's kind of dumb. Anyways. And who will take lead of this charge? The next to speak was the present Wolf Lord of the company who had offered assistance to the Black Templars' forces when they had initially arrived. The higher level commander took note of this, raising a brow silently to himself for a moment as he recalled their name. Though his expression remained unseen behind his helm, Ragnar Blackmane was something of the sort. Flickering the thought off to the side, he simply gestured to the leader of the wolves. Why not you? Since you seem to be more interested, I'll take my leave to being one of the searching pairs. That's okay. See, my problem is when I read, my brain tries to correct. It like automatically rewrites every single sentence I read into how I write. And it's like, that's why I keep pausing. So it's like a bad habit of mine because a lot of the stories that I do are actually they're improvised from speaking, which is kind of awkward, I suppose. Oh fuck, where did I go? Alrighty. So that we at least have an able and well-skilled leader in both directions. His answer was without fault or hesitation. It almost reminded him of how brash he used to be, how humbled he was now. His stomach churned a bit. "Don't you want any glories, High Marshal?" A Bloodclaw mocked him. And though their leader gave them a turning glare, the Black Templar shrugged. "Haven't I already enough, pup? After all, I knew the Primarchs." Though witty and even a bit heart-wrenching, the comment shocked the Marine. And that was good enough for him. Very little was said after that. The two squads mingled for a bit longer, checking over wounds and counting their supplies before they eventually merged back into a single group. Together they made 12, though 8 were sent north, while 2 pairs respectively took one to the other unsearched cardinal directions, being south, east, and east. As they approached in from the west, roughly an hour or so had passed by their tireless. Only a rough hour or so had passed by since as their tireless and even deemed boring search in the eastern quarter of the city continued. So far, the only action that had been brought to them was the accidental firing of a nearby abandoned orc encampment, as most of the looters had already scrambled off elsewhere in search for more materials to add to their piling collections. Taking their lives had been easy enough, not allowing them any moment of reprieve to try contacting their scattered reinforcements. And the two of them made waste of their gathered loot and makeshift defenses created from what looked like scrap metal, and likely was as well. Though their search remained mostly silent aside from a few annoyed huffs or grunts, the ancient Templar could feel the begrudging tension that was spurring from the wolf that was his company. I'm assuming you're upset because you want more action, Wolf? The question itself was fair enough, but the second statement he made almost made his companion sound immature. I thought I saw you as being more tame than your brothers. God, Sigismund is so rude. I'm typically assigned to taking charge of blood claws, so sometimes their attitude can rub off on me. The reply was a bit bitter, but it was still a fair answer, almost brutally honest. But he ignored the missing details, as they were likely similar. Then I apologize that you're stuck with me, and not your Jarl instead. His half-felt apology was simply waved off by the warrior, and they decided to take their search down further to the southeast before they broke out from the perimeter they had established to stay within. Yes, he is sassy, but it's kind of like a trait with all Imperial Fists. Lysander does that shit too. Lysander mocked the shit out of a lot of people during his time in, I hate to say this, but if Sigismund was actually from the heresy and somehow made it to 40k, he's actually the only true Imperial Fist left. Out of the original Imperial Fists. So, even when he's among brothers, I was reading Maladrax for Lysander. It's an okay book. Lysander's a prick, is what he is. I feel like we're getting distracted, but here. Oh my god, have you read, what is this? Oh, that is inappropriate. So have you read Thousand Suns yet, or no? I'm gonna read Prospero Burns after you filthy fucking wolf. After I read, Thousand Suns. There's one thing that I like from it. I just made a, Yes, you are speaking through a biased lens. All is dust. All is dust. How prophetic those words seem now. A wise man from ancient Terra said them, or words like them. I wonder if he was gifted as I am. I say gifted, but with every passing day I come to regard my powers as a curse. I look out from the top of my tower, over a landscape of madness and storms of impossible energies, and I remember reading those words in a crumbling book on Terra. Over the centuries, I read every one of the texts from the forgotten ages that filled the great libraries of Prospero. But I do not think I really understood them until today. I can feel him drawing near with every breath, every heartbeat. That I still have either is a miracle, especially now. He is coming to kill me, of course. I can feel his anger, his hurt pride, and his great regret. Power he now has, he was unlooked for. The power he now has was unlooked for, unwanted, and unnatural. Power is fleeting, some say, but this is not power. Once acquired, it can never be given back. His abilities are nothing else. Are like nothing else wielded by man. He could kill me from the other side of the galaxy, but he will not. He needs to look me in the eye as he destroys me. It is his flaw, one of them at least, that he is honorable. He behaves to others as he expects to be treated. That was his undoing. I know what he thinks I have done. He thinks I have betrayed him, but I have not. Truly, I have not. None of our cabal betrayed him. We did everything we could to save our brothers. It has come to this. A father set to kill his favored son. That is the greatest tragedy of the 1,000 Sons. They will call us traitors. But such an irony will go unrecorded. Even in the lost books of Callimachus, we remain loyal, as we always have been. No one will believe that, not the Emperor, not our brothers, and especially not the wolves that are not wolves. History will say that they unleashed the wolves of Russ on us, but our history will be wrong. They unleashed something far worse. I can hear him climbing the steps of my tower. He will think I have done this because of Orsmond. And in a way, he's right. But it is so much more than that. I have destroyed my legion. The legion I loved. The legion that saved me. I have destroyed the legion he tried to save. And when he kills me, it will be right to do so. I deserve no less, and perhaps much more. But before he destroys me, I must tell you of our doom. Yet, where to begin? There are no beginnings, no endings, especially upon worlds of the great ocean. Past, present, and future are one, and time is meaningless, so it must be arbitrary. This place where I begin, I will start with the mountain that eats men. I like that intro. Yes, he is. But I really, really, really like that intro. But those are the words of Magnus, though, which kind of makes me sad. sea of it. Oh my god, I almost called you Vaskbanger. Jesus. In the kingdom of the blind, 1. The mountain that eats men. Captains, observers. The mountain had existed for thousands of years. A rearing landmass of rock that had been willed into existence by forces greater than any living inhabitant of Agru could imagine. Though its people had no knowledge of geology, the titanic forces of the orogenic movement, compressional energies, and isostatic uplift, they knew enough to know that the mountain was too vast, too monumental, to be a natural formation. Set in the heart of the undulating salt plains, the ancients of Agru claimed had once been at the bottom of an ocean. The mountain rose to a height of nearly 30 kilometers, taller than even Olympus Mons, the great fabricator's forge on Mars. It dominated the blazing umber sky, a graceful, soaring peak shaped like an incredible tomb, crafted for some ancient king of magnificent cyclopean scale. No regular lines formed the mountain, and no artifice of mankind had shaped its rugged flanks. But one look at the mountain was enough to convince even the most die-hard skeptic that it had been crafted by unnatural means. Nothing grew on its rocky sides, no plants, gorse, or even the thinnest of prairie grasses. The earth surrounding the mountain shimmered in the baked heat of the planet's sun, which hung low on the horizon like an overripe fruit. Despite the heats, the rocks of the mountain were cold to the touch, smooth and slick as though freshly raised from the depths of a black ocean. Sunlight abhorred its hides. Its shadowed valleys, sunken grabens, and sheared clefts, dark and cold, as though it had been built atop some frozen geyser that seeped its icy chill into the rock by some strange geological osmosis. Surrounding the rumpled skirts of the mountain, scattered collections of raised stones, each taller than 3 men, were gathered in loose circles. Such monuments should have been towering achievements, incredible feats of engineering by a culture without access to mechanical lifting equipment, mass-reducing suspensor gear, or the titanic engines of the Mechanicum. But in the face of the mountain's artificial origins, they were primitive afterthoughts, specks against the stark, brooding immensity of its impossibility. In a world such as this, what force could raise a mountain? None of the many people gathered on Agru could answer that question, though some of the greatest, most inquisitive, and brilliant minds bent their every faculty to answer it. To the Agru, the mountain was the axis mundi for their world, a place of pilgrimage. To the warrior scholars of the 1,000 Suns, the mountain and its people were a curiosity, a puzzle to be solved, and potentially the solution to a riddle their glorious leader had thought to unlock for nearly 2 centuries. One thing both cultures agreed wholeheartedly. The mountain was a place of the dead. "Can you see him?" asked the voice, distant and dreamlike. "No." "He should be back by now," pressed the voice, stronger now. "Why isn't he back?" Ahriman descended through the enumerations, feeling the psychic presence of 3 Astartes gathered beneath the scarlet canopy of his pavilion, with his senses beyond the rudimentary ones nature had seen fit to gift him. Their potent psyches hummed through their flesh, like chained thunder. That of Phocis Takar and Kalark Hathor Mats, lugubrious and rigidly controlled. Sobek's etheric field was a tiny candle next to the blazing suns that they carried with them. Ahriman felt his subtle body mesh with his physical form and opened his eyes. He broke the link with his tutelary and looked up at Phocis Takar. The sun was low, yet still powerfully bright, and he squinted against it, shielding his eyes from the reflected glare of the sunlight from the salt flats. "Well?" demanded Phocis Takar. "I don't know. Etepio can see no farther than the dead stones. Nor can Utipa," said Phocis Takar, squatting on his haunches and flicking up puffs of salt dust with irritated thoughts. Ahriman felt each one like an electric spark in his mind. "Why can't the tutelaries see beyond them? Who knows?" asked Ahriman, more troubled than he cared to admit. "I thought you'd be able to see further. You're Corvidae, after all. That wouldn't help here," said Ahriman, rising smoothly from a cross-legged position and dusting the glittering salt crystals from the inscribed crimson plates of his armor. His body felt stiff, and it took a moment for muscle memory to reassert control of his limbs after a flight in the ether. In any case, he said, I don't think it would be wise to try on this world. The walls between us and the great ocean are thin, and there's a lot of unchanneled energy here. You're probably right, Phosis Dakar. Agreed, Phosis Dakar. Sweat dripping down his shaven scalp along the lines of an elliptical scar that ran from his crown to the nape of his neck. You think that's why we linger on this planet? Entirely likely, said Ahriman. There is power here, but the Agaru have lived in balance for centuries without suffering any ill effects or mutations. That has to be worth investigating. Indeed it is, said Hathor Mat, apparently unaffected by the furnace heat. There's precious little else of interest on this parched rock, and I don't trust the Agaru. I think they're hiding something. How does one live in a place like this for so long without any sign of mutation? Ahriman noted the venom in which his fellow captain spat the last word. Unlike Ahriman or Phosis Dakar, Hathor Mat's skin was pale, like a smooth marble, his golden hair like that painted on the heroic mosaics of the Ethereum. Not a bead of sweat befouled Mott's sculpted features. I don't care how they done it, said Phosis Dakar. This place bores me. It's been 6 months. We should be making war in the Arc Reach cluster. Lorgar's 47ths are expecting us. Russ too. And trust me, you don't want to keep the wolves waiting any longer than you must. The Primarch says we stay, so we stay, said Ahriman. Sobek, his dutiful practicus, stepped forward and offered him a goblet of water. Ahriman drained the cool liquid in a single swallow. He shook his head when Sobek held a bronze. He's out to refill it. No. Take it to Remembrancer Eris, he commanded. She is at the Deadstones, and has more need of it than I. Sobek nodded, and left the shade of the canopy without another word. Ahriman's battle plate cooled him, recycling the moisture of his body and turning aside the worst of the searing heat. The Remembrancers had come to the planet's surface and were not so fortunately equipped. Dozens had already returned to the Photep's Medicadex, suffering from heat stroke and dehydration. You indulged a woman, Azek, said Hathor Mat. It's not that hot. Easy for you to say, replied Phosis Dakar, wiping the sweat from his skull with a cleaning rag. We can't all be Pavoni, and some of us have to deal with this heat on our own. With further study, meditation, and mental discipline, you might one day achieve a mastery equal to mine, replied Mott. Though his tone was jovial, Ahriman knew he wasn't joking. You Raptora are belligerent sorts, but eventually you might be able to master the necessary enumerations. Phosis Dakar scowled. A dense cluster of salt crystals flew from the ground beside him, aimed at Hathor Mat's head. Before it reached its target, the warrior's hand flashed, as quick as lightning, and caught it. Mott crushed the ice crystals, letting it spill from his hands like dust. Surely you can muster something better than that. Enough! Hold your powers in check, both of you. They are not for vulgar displays, especially when there are mortals nearby. Then why keep them around? Asked Mott. Simply send her on her way with the others. That's what I keep telling him, said Phosis Dakar. If she's so damn keen to learn of the crusade, then send her to a legion that cares about being immortalized. The Ultramarines are the word-bearers. She doesn't belong with us. It was a familiar sentiment. and Ahriman had heard it 100 times from all of his fellow captains. Takar was not the most vocal. That honor belonged to Calophus of the Sixth Fellowship. Whichever viewpoint Takar took, Calophus would emulate more vociferously. Should we not be remembered? Countered Ahriman. The writings of Callista Eris are among the most insightful I have read from the Remembrancer Order. Why should we be left out of the annals of the Great Crusade? You know why, said Phocis Takar angrily. Half of the Imperium, which is just dead not so long ago. They fear us. They fear what they do not understand, said Ahriman. The Primarch tells us their fear comes from ignorance. Knowledge will be our illumination to banish that fear. Phocis Takar grunted and carved spirals into the salt with his thoughts. The more they know, the more they'll fear us. You mark my words, he said. Sigismund, my heart cries out for these guys. They're like my favorite legion. The Thousand Sons actually drew me to 40k, so actually like reading a story like this is kind of important for me. I feel so bad. Ahriman ignored Phocis Takar and stepped out from the shelter of the canopy. The sensation of traveling in his subtle body were all but gone, and the mundane nature of the material world had returned to him. The searing heat had turned the color of his skin mahogany. The searing heat had turned his skin the color of mahogany within an hour of the Stormbird touching down. The oily sweat coating his iron-hard flesh, and the crisp scent of the air, a mixture of burned salt and rich spices, and the swirling etheric winds that swept the surface of this world. You know, and another thing is like, you never really read from the perspective of a psyker, so that's actually pretty cool. That's something that I can appreciate, especially like one as potent and powerful as Ahriman. So it's actually kind of pretty, like the language that they use for this is very pretty. Ahriman felt power coursing through his body, glittering comet trails of psychic potential aching to be molded into something tangible. Over a century of training kept that power fluid, washing through his flesh like a gentle tide, preventing dangerous levels of etheric energy from building. It would be too easy to give in and allow it free rein, but Ahriman knew only too well the dangers that represented. He reached up and touched the silver oak leaf worked into his right shoulder guard and calmed his etheric field with a deep breath and a whispered recitation of the enumerations. Ahriman looked up at the towering mountain, wondering at the vast power of its makers and what the Primarch was doing inside it. Until the power to far sea was taken away, he had not realized how blind he was. Where is he? Hissed Phocis to Carr, echoing his thoughts. It had been 4 hours since Magnus the Red had followed Yetiri and his tribe to the mountain, and the tension had been gnawing at their nerves ever since. You're worried about him, aren't you? Asked Hathor Mott. Since when could you master the powers of the Ethereum? Asked Ahriman. I don't need to. I can see you're both worried, countered Mott. It's obvious. Aren't you? Asked Phocis to Carr. Magnus can look out for himself, said Hathor Mott. He told us to wait for him. The Primarch of the Thousand Sons indeed told them to await his return, but Ahriman had a sick feeling that something was terribly wrong. Did you see something? Asked Phocis to Carr, noting Ahriman's expression. When you traveled the great ocean, you saw something, didn't you? Tell me. I saw nothing. Said Ahriman bitterly. He turned and marched back to his pavilion, retrieving his weapons from a footlocker of acacia and jade. He holstered a pistol that was a fine example of an armorer's art, as any crafted by the artificers of Vulcan's salamanders. Its flanks plated with gold and black back-swept hawk wings, and its grip textured with stippled hide. As well as his pistol, he also bore a long hekastaff of ivory with a hooked blade at its end, its length a gold-plated and reinforced with blue coppered bands. What are you doing? Asked Hathor Mott when he emerged, accoutred for war. I am taking the Sekhmet into that mountain, said Ahriman. Are you coming? Lemuel Gauman reclined against one of the dead stones in the foothill of the enormous mountain, trying to keep within its shadow, and wishing his frame was rather less fulsome, growing up in a mid-continental drift hives of Nordrafric enclaves. He was used to the heat. This world was something else entirely. He wore a long banyan of lightweight linens, colorfully embroidered with interlocking motifs of lightning bolts, bulls, and spirals, and other less easily identified symbols. It had been woven by a blind tailor in the Sangha commercial subsid to his design, the imagery taken from the scrolls in the secret library of his villa in Mobai. Dark-skinned and shaven head, his deep-set eyes carefully watched the encampment of the Thousand Sons, while he occasionally made notes in a pad balanced on his thigh. Perhaps 100 scarlet pavilions dotted the salt plains, their sides tied up, each home to a band of Thousand Sun warriors. He noted that the fellowships were represented by Ahriman's Scarab Occult, Anku's Anan Fourth, Kalafis' Sixth, Hathor Mott's Third, and Phocis to Carr's Second. Yup, that's okay. See ya! And hence the stream is over.